So, if you were to pass on specific knowledge pertaining to line of duty deaths and near misses in a 2.5 story wood frame structure, what would you say?
Well, first of all, everybody on the fire ground has a job. There can never be any freelancing. So if prior to the fire, a well-honed department that has assignments for particular companies, they know that when they go into this 2.5 story wood frame, there are certain duties for the first engine company, the second engine company, the ladder company, the rescue company. And if everybody does their job, 99 times out of 100, you're going to be successful. If somebody doesn't do their job, the whole company can get lost. If that company fails to do their job, it has a direct relationship on all of the other companies at the fire. So every firefighter on the ground has a responsibility. And for safety, the chief officer is the guy or gal who is in charge or responsible for the safety of the firefighters. But it's a two-way street. A firefighter has a responsibility to the incident commander to do what he's supposed to do and to be where he's supposed to be. And, in the case of a firefighter getting lost, one of the things that we have is a pass alarm. And just a quick story, when I bought pass alarms for firefighters, there was a little bit of a reluctance to wear them, like a lot of things happen. And finally I said to him, you know what, I want you to turn that pass alarm on for your wife and kids. And you know what happened? I had 100% compliance.
It's home.
It does hit home. And a case like Joe, he was able to get up and get to the window and get out. But what happens if he was lost on the top floor? If there was no accountability, if there was, he could have been laying up there for 15 minutes before he was discovered lost. So today, we have accountability systems where the incident commander who's running the operation knows where the companies are. The companies need to be where they're told to go. So it works both ways. And today, that's a big thing on the fire ground.
Yeah, and we must learn through training to efficiently and wholly acclimate to these positive changes in procedure and equipment.
Well, there's a couple of things that we talked about when we were thinking about putting this program together, is comparing some firefighting things that we do today, some of the assets that we have today compared to what they had in 1941. In Nicole's book, you're going to read in there about Lieutenant McRae, who was wearing rubber gloves that experienced heat on his hands, and the rubber gloves melted and actually melted all his fingers. He went through painful surgeries. He was out of work for well over a year. And today, in our department in Brockton, we do not allow firefighters to wear rubber gloves as gloves that you would wear when you're attacking the fire. When we're picking up hose lines and whatever, guys do wear rubber gloves. But gloves are very important to protect your hands, but you cannot wear rubber gloves. As Joe mentioned, the gear that we wore at his time and the Strand Theater, basically you had a canvas coat, a helmet, and rubber boots. Today, we kind of encapsulate the firefighters in what we call as bunker gear. So your entire body is encapsulated. That has created new problems because now firefighters overheat from the inside rather than from the outside. And the other thing, of course, is we have better protection for our heads. We wear hoods that protect our ears and everything. So really, I think the fire service has come a long way in providing protection for the firefighters. Again, the responsibility now is on the firefighter that if the department provides you with all of this protective clothing, it's up to you to make sure that you're properly wearing it. So I can tell you that I'll buy you all the best gear, but if you don't want to wear it, what good is it?
And that goes into making sure you're doing routine inspections at the beginning of each shift and after an incident or after a cleaning.
Mm-hmm. We have pass alarms today, a personal safety device that it's a little yellow box that the firefighters wear. And if you're moving, there is an alarm that will not go off. But if, like in Joe's case, if he was laying on the floor and not moving because the plastic came down on him, this pass alarm would emit a loud noise. And all the firefighters recognize that alarm. And if they hear the alarm, they know there's a firefighter in trouble. The self-contained breathing apparatus that they didn't have during the Strand, they had what they call Chemox masks at the time. They were rebreathers. They were not a very good device. It was something that came over from shipboard Navy firefighting that was incorporated. It really didn't work that well. But every firefighter today has a tank on his back with air, not oxygen. So he doesn't have to breathe the toxic atmosphere that's out there today. The smoke today is totally different than it was back in those days, particularly with the plastics. We talked about radios. the failure of communication from inside the theater to outside of the theater. Today, not only do the officers have a radio, but every firefighter has a radio. And it's very important that as decisions are being made on the fire ground, the firefighters are up to speed on what's going on. So if we decide we're going to pull everybody out of a building, instantaneously, everybody gets that message. If somebody on the top floor sees something that the incident commander should know about, which would affect a decision, that's instantaneously put out there. So communications on the fire service today are far better than they were both at the time when Joe was trapped on the top floor and when these firefighters were working in the Strand Theater.